This is John Young, Assistant Superintendent, and this is the 2023-24 Employee Handbook Overview. As an employee of the Lincoln Parish School Board, you are responsible for completing all or some of the trainings below, depending on your job type. Additional trainings may be required for specialized positions within the district. For 2023-24, we will continue to use Vector as our online training platform. Points of emphasis: employee conduct, employee discipline, child abuse mandatory reporting, sexual harassment reporting, employee use of social media, political activities. Employee conduct: how do we as employees treat each other, students, parents, and other members of our school community? Our policy has specific guidelines for minimum standards of conduct. The most important is to be courteous to students, one another, the public, and to conduct yourself in a professional and ethical manner. You must maintain confidentiality of all matters relating to students and other employees. And also, you must advocate positive personal behavior on or off campus and attempt to avoid improprieties or the appearance of improprieties. Employee deficiency reports. These are for minor infractions such as arriving to work late or failing to return in a report on time. There are two signatures that are required, one by the employee and the other by the principal or direct supervisor. The asterisk below the employee signature says that signature does not imply agreement or disagreement. So this copy is placed in the person's or employee's personnel file, and also the principal administrator keeps one, and also the employee gets one as well. These are some specific examples of deficiency: arriving at work late with no prior notice, skipping an announced meeting without cause, not being courteous to other employees, students, or parents, or failure to complete a report by a deadline. We understand in life things happen. If you're going to be out, please notify your principal or direct supervisor of your absence in a timely fashion. Our employee concern form is our grievance form. A few things that are needed to be completed. Number one, we need a description of the incident or concern. And also, what solution would you as an employee like to see your grievance be handled in? If your grievance is with your immediate supervisor, this form can be turned in to Dr. Lewis or myself to be handled. Electronic communication between employees and students. The Lincoln Parish School Board should require that all communications between employees and students be appropriate and in accordance with state law. All electronic or any other communications by employees to students at any time shall be expected to be professional, acceptable in content to any reasonable person, and limited to information that is school related or is acceptable to both student and parent. Reminders are number one way of communicating with parents and families outside of district email. Mandatory reporting. We will use Vector Solutions to complete mandatory reporting training. Remember, mandatory reporting training is given to every employee. The second paragraph here lists every school job or school employment position that we have here in Louisiana. And remember, you are a mandatory reporter for suspected child abuse or child abuse that gets reported to you by a student. In the state of Louisiana, there are three ways to report child abuse, neglect, or suspected child abuse and neglect. One is to call the Child Protection Hotline, which is 855-4LA-KIDS. The second way is to use the DCFS mandated reporter portal. And the third way is to make your report in person at any child welfare office. Also, in cases where child safety is heightened, you can also do a report to both DCFS and also local law enforcement. Any determination on whether or not you need to do a report can be given to your principal, and your principal can advise you on if a dual report is necessary. So as mandatory reporter, what are the three ways to report suspected abuse and neglect? You can call 855-4LA-KIDS. You can use the online portal at dcfs.louisiana.gov, or you can make your report in person at any child welfare office. Employee sexual harassment. It is the policy of the Lincoln Parish School Board to provide an employment environment that is free from unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct or communications deemed to constitute sexual harassment under federal and state laws, regulations, and guidelines. Our district handbook for employees goes over several examples of what constitutes sexual harassment. It's your job as an employee to understand what constitutes that and to review this thoroughly in your district handbook. There's also additional training that will be given through Vector Solutions. Inappropriate conduct, which may constitute sexual harassment, may include, but is not limited to, verbal harassment, such as derogatory jokes, comments, slurs, or remarks or questions of a sexual nature, physical harassment, such as unnecessary or offensive touching, and visual harassment, such as derogatory or offensive posters, cards, cartoons, graffiti, drawings, looks, or gestures. And remember, harassment may depend not only upon the perpetrator's intention, but also upon how the person who is the target perceives the behavior or is affected by it. Reporting procedure. If you have been the victim of sexual harassment on your campus, you should report that directly to your principal. If your direct supervisor is your harasser, you can report that directly to me here at central office. Employee use of social media. The Lincoln Parish School Board acknowledges that employees may engage in the use of social media during their personal time. Employees who use social media for personal purposes must be mindful that they are responsible for their public conduct, even when not acting in their capacities as school district employees. All employees, including student teachers and independent contractors, shall comply with the requirements of this policy when using electronic social media for personal purposes. Employees shall be responsible for the content on their social media sites, including content added by the employee's friends, or members of the public who can access the employee's site, and for web links on the employee's site. Employees shall take reasonable precautions, such as using available security settings to restrict students from viewing the personal information on social media sites and to prevent students from accessing materials that are not age appropriate. If you're using Facebook, it's great to have your review post notifications turned on, and that way you control the content that appears on your social media page. Posting to social media sites. Remember, employees shall not post confidential information about students, employees, or school district business on social media. You should not accept current students as friends or followers or otherwise connect with students on social media sites unless you are related to the student. Employees shall not use internet postings to libel or defame the Lincoln Parish School Board, individual Lincoln Parish School Board members, school district employees, or students. Also, employees shall not post inappropriate content that negatively impacts their ability to perform their jobs. Types of leave. The types of leave that are available to certain categories of employments are found in the handbook, such as jury duty, sick leave, personal business leave, extended sick leave, maternity leave, FMLA, annual leave, and the use of the employee sick leave bank. Political activities. It is strongly felt by the Lincoln Parish School Board that teachers should stress the importance of citizenship, responsibilities, and the political rights of citizenship to each student. For administrators, teachers, and staff to be able to place strong emphasis on these areas, the board believes they should have the right to enjoy these privileges free from any pressures and/or concerns. It is felt that all employees should be free to support candidates of their choice, exercising their own good judgment. Therefore, all personnel shall be notified that they must not be part of any activity relating to the campaign or election of any candidate for political office during office hours or while on duty, nor use any school board facility for such activity. This includes, but is not limited to, making or soliciting contributions to campaign funds or promoting any candidate by distribution of cards, pictures, handbills, clothing, and pens, making telephone contacts, or in any other way during office hours or while on duty. This requirement applies to in every school of the system, department of the system, central office, and on school buses. The school board states that the provisions of this policy shall apply during business hours or while an employee is on official school board business and is not intended to interfere with the personal time or affairs away from offices or school facilities in any way. The rule of thumb for political activities: are you at work and on the clock, or are you not? Corporal punishment. The Lincoln Parish School Board shall prohibit the use of corporal punishment by its employees. Students shall not be paddled, spanked, forced to kneel, or otherwise physically disciplined for infractions of student conduct regulations. Furthermore, no other person, including parents or guardians, shall be allowed to administer corporal punishment to a student while on school grounds. Nothing contained herein shall be interpreted as prohibiting an employee from using physical force reasonable and appropriate under the circumstances in defending himself or herself against a physical attack by a student, or from using physical force to restrain a student from attacking another student or employee, or to quell a disturbance, or to protect school property. Another thing to remember here, typically you can usually prevent a fight from happening by being proactive on the front end of it. So make sure that if you hear something between students, to make sure you can try, or make sure you try to calm that down before it results into a physical altercation. As an employee, you're responsible to understand everything that is an employee handbook. The handbook is found on the website of the district and is updated from time to time when policies do change. Remember, if you're not clear on a policy, ask for clarification from your direct supervisor.